Heartwarming moment, Millionaire CEO discovers little girl's hidden strength over bread and water. Jack Thompson stepped into the crowded community center with a heart so heavy it threatened to pull him under. The joyful noise of laughter and banter echoed off the walls, filling the air with warmth, yet he felt like a stranger in a familiar land. He had traded the concrete jungle for a suit of designer fabric, and the weight of his success now felt more like a burden than an achievement. Here, surrounded by his old acquaintances eating bread and water, memories of his own childhood flooded back, times when his family barely scraped by, sharing meals that felt more like struggle than sustenance. Jack scanned the room, catching glimpses of laughter and light through the sea of faces he once knew as neighbors. As he navigated the small tables adorned with paper decorations, his heart ached for the innocence of a past life buried under the ashes of ambition. This was a charity event, a lifeline for families facing food insecurity, and yet his presence only seemed to amplify the dichotomy of his two worlds. The juxtaposition of their simple generosity against his extravagant lifestyle felt like a spotlight shining down on him, illuminating everything he turned away from. Then, he saw her. A little girl with bright eyes and an eager smile named Lily, perched over a plate of bread and a cup of water, her fingers flecked with paint. "Hi. Do you like painting too?" she asked, her voice a sweet melody amid the chatter. As they spoke, she shared her dreams of becoming an artist, illustrating both the hardships she faced and the vibrant world she envisioned. Each word, filled with hope, struck Jack like lightning. Something cracked open in him that he thought had long since hardened. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." But just as Jack began to feel a sense of belonging, the atmosphere shifted like storm clouds rolling in. The tension in the room thickened when word spread of a proposal to dismantle the food program crucial to families like Lily's. Jack's heart sank. He realized his own corporate interests, the very empire he'd built, threatened the lifeblood of this community. "Jack! You can't let this happen!" shouted an old friend, voice thick with disappointment. Accusations flew, words like daggers, revealing the stark truth that his quest for success had blinded him. Torn, Jack felt lost. Should he put profit above people? It didn't sit right, not anymore. He watched Lily paint a mural on the community center wall, each stroke bursting with the colors of hope and dreams, layers of vibrant aspirations reaching towards the future. This moment, both heart-wrenching and eye-opening, unspooled the tight cord of guilt stretching across his chest. What had he become? They were counting on him, children counting on him. As Jack stood in that moment, he saw the quiet determination on Lily's face, a spark igniting within him. He held the power to fight for their future or stand idle, enveloped in his millionaire bubble. Would he step into the light to help those he once knew? The echo of his neglected roots whispered to him. It called for change, for courage, for community. How would he respond? Jack felt the weight of his decision crushing down on him. The room pulsated with murmurs of worry among the attendees, who gathered in small groups, their brows furrowed with concern. He could see the pain etched across their faces, a reflection of the struggles they faced daily. It was real. It was personal. And here he was, a man who had lived in a world so disconnected from theirs, now standing at a crossroads. Lily paused in her painting, looking up at Jack with confusion. "Are you okay?" she asked, finding concern in her innocent gaze. Her question cut through the heaviness in his heart, reminding him once again of the clear-eyed hope she embodied. He forced a smile, but it felt brittle. "Yeah, just thinking. Thinking is good. It helps you make new art," she chirped. A lightness filled her voice, as if she could clear the clouds swirling in his mind. Jack watched as she returned to her mural, her small hands deftly applying bright blues and yellows, colors that sang of summer skies and sunflowers. He thought about how easily she saw the world. The innocence of children always felt like a balm until faced with harsh realities. These families needed hope, support, and someone to walk beside them. He couldn't ignore that aching need any longer. Walking to the edge of the mural, Jack felt the coolness of the paintbrush Lily handed him. "Can you help?" she asked, eyes gleaming with mischief. "You can make the sky even bigger." He inhaled deeply. It was just a splash of paint, but in that moment, it symbolized so much more: a commitment, a foundation for something new. He could no longer allow himself to be a passive observer. What if he used his influence, his wealth, to ensure Lily and others like her had a fighting chance? His mind raced with ideas. What if he gathered resources, built partnerships, made changes that could safeguard this program? He was one man, but he had the tools. To sit idle now felt like turning his back on his past and the lessons it taught him. "Okay, I'll help," Jack said, his voice steadier now. As he made broad strokes of blue across her mural, he felt an electric surge of purpose. The colors transformed before him, mixing and melding into something vibrant, something alive. A new vision was emerging not just on the wall, but in his heart. The laughter returned to the room, washing over them like a gentle tide. People began to notice him, smiles creeping onto their faces. The tension, once so palpable, began to dissipate, replaced by the warmth of community. Yet, just as hope began to blossom, a figure appeared at the door, someone familiar, a face from his corporate world. The voice that pierced through the laughter was unmistakable. "Jack!" It called, echoing through the center like a sour note in a beautiful song. "We need to talk about the proposal. It's important." Jack's heart sank. The decision he was grappling with, the commitment he was on the precipice of making, now faced a sudden threat. Would he stand with his old life? Or would he stand for something greater, for children like Lily and families struggling to make ends meet? The room fell silent as all eyes turned to him, awaiting a decision that would inevitably shape the future of this community. Jack swallowed hard, feeling the weight of their expectations. What would he choose? The moment of truth arrived. Jack stood frozen, the paintbrush hovering just above the mural. Everyone in the room seemed to hold their breath, their eyes filled with hope and uncertainty. He could almost hear the collective heartbeat of the community around him, rising and falling with his next word. "Jack!" The voice from the door intruded again, jarring him back to the present. It was Sam, his former colleague. Dressed sharply as always, Sam had the look of a man who thrived on boards and meetings, a stark contrast to the bright, chaotic artistry surrounding Jack. "This can't wait. We need your input, and this is seriously out of touch," Jack murmured under his breath, the words slipping out before he could stop them. The laughter and warmth of the room collided with the cold, corporate world Sam represented. But Sam pressed, marching forward, his eyes darting nervously around the room. Jack took a deep breath, standing tall. The laughter of the children, the murals blooming to life, it was his moment to grasp. "No, Sam. This can wait." His voice echoed in the stillness, firm but tinged with doubt. Lily, sensing the tension, looked up with a swirl of colors on her cheek, her small brow furrowed. "Are you going to help them?" she asked softly. Her innocent gaze cut through Jack like a knife, offering uncanny clarity even in the chaos. "I am helping," he replied, fighting to keep the conviction steady in his tone. He gestured at the mural, at the people smiling and healing right before him. This is where I need to be." The silence stretched, becoming a living thing as everyone waited for the response from Sam. "Jack, you don't understand," Sam began, but the pleading note was cutting through his businesslike demeanor. "No, you don't understand," Jack interrupted. "This isn't about a proposal or profit margins. This is about lives. Real lives." He felt the weight of all those eyes on him, a mixture of hope and fear urging him forward. Sam's face hardened, slivers of annoyance crossing his features. You can't throw away your career for what? A painting and a bunch of kids? It's not just that. Jack felt frustration rise in him. It's understanding what really matters. These kids have stories, dreams, futures. They deserve more than just our pity. He turned to the people in the room, taking in those who had opened their hearts to him. Muffled whispers began to replace the silence as the room came alive again, a buzzing hum of agreement among them. Jack, think of your future. Sam pressed again, but this time Jack stepped closer, intent on conveying his resolution. My future isn't made of spreadsheets and stock exchanges anymore. It's made of community and hope, he declared, feeling lighter with each word. I want to build something real. Lily's eyes sparkled, her smile illuminating the room. Can you paint the sun? I want the sun to shine on our mural. She exclaimed, putting her small hands together excitedly. Jack chuckled lightly, the tiny spark of joy grounding him. Absolutely, let us paint a big, bright sun. As Jack dipped the brush into the vibrant yellow, the laughter of children surrounded him again, fading the stark memory of corporate demands. He felt a sense of freedom as he began to stroke the mural with rays of sunshine. They were his rays, a testimony to a new life. But just as he found rhythm again, another wave of urgency overshadowed him. What if turning his back meant severing ties with a world he knew? Could he really build this future without losing everything? He glanced at Lily, and the determination in her eyes matched the growing warmth of the mural. The moment was fragile, teetering on the brink of what was possible. Would he follow through? Would he dare to chase this new path entirely? As the sun began to take shape on the wall, the question loomed larger: would he really transform his life, or retreat back into the safety of the corporate shell? The brush hovered, waiting for him to decide. Would he be brave enough to color his reality anew? The paintbrush trembled in Jack's hand, his heart pounding in his chest. He could feel the warmth from the sun he imagined painting, but a chill crept in as Sam's expression shifted behind him. The bustling voices of the children faded into background noise, overtaken by the relentless ticking of doubt. Jack, just take a moment to think. Sam's voice broke through again, this time softer but no less insistent. Your life is at stake here. You want to throw all this away? Jack turned, the mural a brilliant sunburst of color so far, but still just a canvas. Stakes? He echoed, letting the word linger in the air. What exactly are we staking here? Your future, your stability, Sam countered, urgency spilling into each syllable. You don't have to lose everything to make a difference. No, Sam. It's about the choice to embrace something real. Jack's voice was steady, rising above the tension in the room. Little Lily tugged on his sleeve gently. Jack, why are you fighting? We just want to paint. There was innocence in her question, a pure desire for creation devoid of the weight of adult concerns. Because, Lily, he paused, searching for the right words, sometimes it feels like everything good comes with a price tag. But that's not true, she insisted, unwavering. You can make the sun bright without worrying. Let us just paint. He looked at her, this little girl who saw the world in strokes of joy. The paintbrush felt heavier as he considered the split paths before him. A life filled with safety yet detached, or one bursting with vibrant chaos and connection. Jack took a deep breath, setting his jaw in resolve. You're right, Lily, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Let us just paint. As he dipped the brush back into that sun-colored yellow, the room filled with excited chatter once more. The children gathered around him, eager eyes shining bright, hands reaching out to help. Each stroke of paint felt right. Each laughter, each shared moment, felt like home. But somewhere, a voice prickled at the edges of his mind. What about the promotion, the big meetings? Those deals that had felt so crucial only days ago. Was he truly willing to sacrifice all of it? He painted and painted, the mural transforming under their shared joy. The sun burst forth, radiant rays stretching across the wall. Just like that, color seeped into the worries he thought he owned. "It's beautiful," Lily squealed, shining enthusiasm as bright as the sun beside her. Jack couldn't help but smile. It was a moment of clarity. His heart was full, swelling with the sights and sounds, laughter ricocheting off the walls. But uncertainty still lingered. How could one decision overshadow a lifetime built around ambition? Retreating now would be like stepping back into a shadow, and yet every heartbeat felt like a color, vibrant and raw, painting the moments between them. Just as they added the final touches, the door swung open once again, cutting through the excitement like a knife. "Jack! We really need to talk now." Sam's voice was more forceful this time, demanding attention. A shift took place in Jack. The revelry faded, replaced with the weight of choices. Would he step away from the mural, from the joy they created together? Or would he face the world Sam represented, a world he thought he wanted but now felt like a cage? The decision wavered like the colors on the wall. With the sun painted bright, would Jack choose to shine in the glow of possibility, or retreat into the shadows of familiarity? The room held its breath again, a delicate pause hanging in the air. What was he about to sacrifice, and what was worth fighting for? "Jack," Sam urged, but the words felt far away now. Jack looked down at his paint-streaked hands, the sunlight reflecting in Lily's eyes. Was it worth the risk to paint a new life, or would he let the chance slip away before he found out? The brush hovered once more, waiting for him to make the leap toward the future he could not yet see. Jack felt the weight of the world pressing down on him. It was as if time stretched thin, every possibility swirling around him like the colors on the mural. He glanced back at the radiant sun that had blossomed beneath his brush, its warmth reaching out in golden rays. Everything inside him shouted to stay, to embrace this moment of creation and joy surrounded by laughter and innocence. Yet, Sam's voice cut through his thoughts. The urgency in it twisted at Jack's gut. "Jack! Is this really what you want?" There was desperation there, an underlying fear that he might abandon the life they had built together. The promotion was just one step away, the career he had always dreamt of finally in reach, and yet here he stood, paint on his hands, surrounded by children whose hopes for today ignited something he thought he had lost. Lily, with her innocent eyes, stepped closer. "Jack! You can do both. You can paint and still be a hero," she said, her enthusiasm bubbling over. "Can I?" Jack whispered to himself, almost lost in the turmoil of conflicting emotions. The thought spun in his mind, could there truly be a balance between the life he had chased and the one he was discovering? "Jack!" Sam's voice crescendoed, breaking his reverie. "The meeting is in an hour. This is important." Jack looked back at the mural. It was more than just a piece of art. It was a testament to connection, to the very idea of being alive. It was proof that joy could fill the spaces where doubt had taken root. Jack inhaled deeply, laughter from the children washing over him like a wave. "Let us finish the sun first," he said decisively, seeing how their excitement surged at his words. He could already feel the relief in him. Each stroke of paint felt like a freeing release, liberating him from the expectations that clung to him. "We can do this together," Jack said, and he watched as the kids grinned wider, their small hands reaching for brushes, eager to contribute to the transformation of the wall. "What color next, Jack?" Lily called out, her voice carrying a powerful sense of ownership over their creation. "Orange," he called back, a burst of energy coursing through him. If this was risk, then he would embrace it. Their laughter filled the room as they spread the orange paint, brightening up the golden sun, each brushstroke radiating warmth. But even as the mural finalized, his heart wrestled with another truth. The looming meeting with Sam was still there waiting. "I can't believe I'm doing this," Jack muttered under his breath, heart racing because what if he let it all go to chase something that was less tangible than this moment? Finally, with the mural complete, a ball of vibrant sun and joy exploded across the wall. Jack felt a surge of pride. But another tension loomed. The door creaked open, and Sam stepped inside, frustration etched across her face. "Jack! Are you ready? Let us go." The children turned, their excitement tapering into nervousness. Jack's hands twitched. A moment hung in the air, so thick with uncertainty. Would he walk out with Sam? Or would he stay, paintbrush in hand, and choose connection over ambition? His heart raced, deciding what mattered more, and he suddenly understood. "Just give me a moment," he said, eyes darting between Sam and the children. As he looked at their eyes, sparkling with hope, Jack felt the flicker of a different kind of risk. It wasn't just about staying or leaving, it was about choosing happiness over fear, creativity over conformity. "Do I have the courage to follow my heart?" he wondered, as the weight of the mural and the promises it held became tangible in every breath he took. But as he stood there, caught in that moment, the door swung open again. This time, it was another figure. The sudden arrival sent a ripple of doubt through the room, pulling tears of uncertainty to the corners of Jack's eyes. "Jack! You really should hear what I have to say." And with that, the tension surged again, leaving Jack to wonder what might happen next. Would he find the answer hidden amongst the colors of his creation, or would the truth of his choices spill out just like the paint that dripped down the wall? Just as Jack braced himself for the unexpected visitor, his heart pounded louder than the children's laughter that had filled the room moments before. The figure at the door was familiar, yet it felt like an intrusion on this sacred space of joy they had created with the mural. Sam's brow furrowed deeper as she took in the newcomer. "What do you want?" she asked sharply, her protective instincts kicking in. The visitor, a tall man with a slick-back hairstyle and a tailored suit, took a step forward, as if to claim the moment. "I'm sorry to interrupt, but I need to talk to Jack. It's urgent." His voice was firm, but a trace of desperation lingered beneath the surface. Jack felt a chill run through him. He had made a decision, hadn't he? This was his moment to explore something authentic. "Can it wait?" he managed to say, the words tasting uncertain on his tongue. "Jack, the board is worried about the project deadlines." And the man started, but Jack cut him off. "Listen, I respect what you're saying, but I can't just drop everything for a meeting right now." His voice caught Sam's drumming heartbeat, but he felt stronger somehow, bolstered by the presence of the children and their hopeful gazes. Lily stepped forward, her tiny frame bursting with courage. "Mr. Suit. Jack is helping us. He is showing us how to paint a rainbow." Her declaration was innocent yet impactful, echoing through the air like the sweetest melody. The visitor seemed caught off guard, his hardened expression softening for just a heartbeat. Jack couldn't help but notice the cracks in his armor. "A rainbow, huh?" he said, trying to regain his composure and failing. "That's nice," he added, but there was a hint of skepticism in his tone. Sam crossed her arms, protective yet tense. "Jack is creating something real here, something that matters," she interjected. The weight of her words hung in the air, adding gravity to the conversation. Jack turned his attention back to the mural, the colors shimmering with the energy of their collective effort. "This is more important than a meeting," he stated firmly. With every word, he felt the truth solidify within him. Moments like this were shaping who he was meant to be. But even as he voiced his conviction, he realized how the decision to pursue passion over obligation could also cost him everything he had worked hard for. The board, the promotions, the success, all of it tugged at him now like a ghost from the past he couldn't shake off. "What if I miss my chance?" he thought, panic gnawing at the edges of his happiness. "Jack." The man's voice lowered, attempting to break through to him. "I get it. But if you don't step up now, all this enthusiasm," he gestured to the mural, "might just be a dream." Jack felt the pressure heighten again, each word hitting him like a sharp wave, threatening his resolve. The golden sun on the wall flickered in his mind, illuminating possibilities he had long since buried. Could he truly have both a fulfilling career and this beautiful connection? Taking a deep breath, he stepped closer to the mural, his hands stained with paint, and looked back at the kids, who were still watching him with wide, hopeful eyes. Their belief in him was contagious, igniting something within him he couldn't ignore. Maybe there's another way, he dared to voice aloud, the weight of decision starting to shift. Maybe passion should be the drive behind ambition, instead of the other way around. As he spoke, Sam's expression softened, and a glimmer of hope sparkled within her. The mystery visitor glanced between them, uncertainty giving way to curiosity. But before Jack could articulate the courage swelling up inside him, a sudden shout erupted from the back of the room, jolting them all. "Look! The paint is dripping!" One of the children exclaimed, their laughter chiming in the air and breaking the tension like a bright spark. Jack turned back to the mural, noticing the vibrant colors blending together in a way that created an unexpected beauty. Perhaps, he mused, that was life, messy but beautiful, colorful in its chaotic design. The man blinked, caught off guard by the sheer joy in the room, and for a moment, the sharp edges of his urgency softened. "Jack?" he asked, hesitating. "Are you sure about this?" Jack's heart raced, uncertainty still whispering doubts in his mind. I need to think." In that moment, everything shifted back to the children, to the life blooming inside him as he sank into the truth he was still discovering. Would he embrace the drippings of life's choices that ultimately shaped his destiny? Would he find a way to merge the worlds of ambition and authenticity? The tension buzzed around him, full of questions yet still unresolved. Just as he felt ready to answer, another loud shout echoed through the room. And with that, the playful laughter filled the air again, a reminder of what mattered most. "Jack! Come see!" His decision was on the brink, and he realized he might have to make it sooner than he thought. Jack turned at the sound of the shout, his heart quickening. He wondered what could possibly have captivated the children's attention this time. The entire room buzzed with energy, a wave of excitement washing over him. He leaned in closer, capturing the sparkling smiles of the kids, their faces glowing with anticipation. "What did you find?" he asked, allowing himself a moment to savor the infectious enthusiasm that had filled the room once more. "It's a secret," Lily squealed, bouncing on her tiny heels. "You have to come and see." Curiosity tugged at Jack, pulling him away from the pressing responsibilities that loomed behind him. He took a step toward the back corner of the room, where a few children huddled together, whispering and giggling. With every stride, he felt the weight of the man in the suit begin to dissipate, replaced by the pure, uncomplicated joy that the children embodied. As he neared, he spotted the vibrant colors pooling on the floor, a cherished blend of hues coming together like a magical potion. The kids had taken the drips of paint and made them their own, creating splashes of color that brightened the wooden floor. They danced around the puddles, shouting gleefully as they spun like carefree butterflies. "Look! It's a rainbow river now!" one child exclaimed, laughing as they twirled in delight, their little dress flaring out like petals blooming in the sun. Jack chuckled, his heart swelling with warmth. In that moment, he felt the gravitational pull of that simple miracle, the joy of imagination, the beauty of creation. He realized this wasn't just a mess, it was a riot of life, a celebration of creativity. "Wow, this is incredible!" he praised, kneeling to touch the colors. The cool, wet paint spread across his fingers, grounding him in the moment. Looking up, he saw the trust and admiration reflected in their wide eyes. It was infectious, and he felt a renewed spark of purpose rooting itself in his heart. "Can we do this every day, Jack?" Lily asked, her voice dripping with hope, as if daring him to say yes. The sincerity in her question tugged at him, urging him to find an answer that honored their experience. "Absolutely," he replied without hesitation. "Let's make painting a part of our routine. There's a lot we can learn from coloring outside the lines." The children erupted in applause, their laughter ringing like music to his ears. And in that joyful cacophony, he sensed a shift. Their excitement was more than a fleeting moment of fun, it was a reminder of the potential to intertwine passion and purpose, to weave together the threads of ambition he had once seen as disparate. But just then, the visitor coughed, restoring the urgency that Jack had hoped to leave behind. "Jack," he said, trying to draw him back to reality. "This isn't about just painting. We have serious obligations that could affect your career." Jack felt his earlier confidence waver, slipping between his fingers like the wet paint he was now smeared with. The choice weighed heavy once more, but he held on to Lily's hopeful gaze. "If I'm going to lead something meaningful, it starts here, right?" The man's eyebrows knitted together, disbelief washing over his face. "But think of the opportunities you're throwing them away." Jack stood, paint-streaked hands clenching into fists. "Opportunities are everywhere, but they mean nothing if they don't resonate with who you are. I need to be here for them. This is where I feel alive." The children's laughter enveloped him like a sanctuary, a protective shield against the outside pressures of deadlines and decisions. He glimpsed a world where ambition didn't smother passion and where success didn't come at the expense of joy. Suddenly, a small hand slipped into his. It was Lily. "Jack, come paint with us," she said, her eyes sparkling like the brightest stars in the night. He looked back at the swirling colors and felt a swell of determination rise within. "I will," he replied with conviction, embracing the warmth of her hand in his. Just then, a ripple of laughter erupted from the back again, spilling into the atmosphere and overwhelming the tension that had filled it moments before. Jack's heart raced as he took a breath, realizing that sometimes, the answer to the hardest questions lies not in the lofty boardrooms but in the colorful chaos of a child's imagination. As he joined the circle of children, poised to plunge his brushes back into that messy, vibrant rainbow, a thought flickered through his mind. Could this really be the path to a new beginning? The inviting chaos melted the last of his fears, and he sensed something monumental was about to shift in his life, possibly changing everything he thought he knew about success. And just then, from the corner of his eye, the man in the suit turned to leave, a puzzled expression crossing his face, as if questioning everything he thought was real. With a determined grin, Jack dipped his brush into the vibrant paint, mixing colors with the carefree abandon that the children had inspired within him. He let the bristles skim across the surface of the wooden floor, merging red with blue, yellow with green. Each stroke felt like a release, an expression of a feeling he hadn't allowed himself to explore for far too long. Around him, the kids squealed in delight, their laughter echoing off the walls. They took turns dabbing their brushes into colors, painting each other's hands, and watching in gleeful awe as their skins transformed into streaked rainbows. Jack felt the energy, the joy, encapsulating the 5, 10, even 15 minutes he had decided to steal for himself. And he knew, instinctively, he would need to carve out more moments like this. "Look, Jack. I made a big blue flower," one boy exclaimed, presenting his masterpiece with an exaggerated flourish. The way he beamed with pride struck a chord deep in Jack's heart, igniting a flicker of reminiscence for his own childhood. "Yes. That's beautiful," Jack exclaimed, kneeling to get a closer look. He couldn't help but wonder what had become of his own youthful dreams buried under expectations and responsibility. As the laughter and paint flew, he became more engaged in shaping their world and less in worrying about his own. When he stood back to get a glimpse of the entire scene, he noticed the once plain floor now covered in vibrant chaos. It felt alive, filled with the spirit of creativity, the children's spirits mingling with each brushstroke. It stirred something in Jack, awakening a part of him that had been asleep for too long. The man in the suit lingered by the doorway, arms crossed and lips pursed disapprovingly. Jack caught his eye for a brief moment. A flicker of tension surged through him. It was as if an invisible line pulled tight between his past and his newfound happiness. But this time, he held firm against it, feeling the pulses of joy in the room shift the ground beneath his feet. "Can I help you paint, too?" Lily asked, her innocent enthusiasm piercing through the uncertainty hanging in the air. Jack gave her a nod and smiled, gesturing for her to join. The moment she did, she embraced him closely, her little arms wrapping around his waist, a burst of warmth amidst the chaos. "Let us make the biggest flower ever," she declared, her eyes sparkling with such determination that it was contagious. As they created together, Jack's anxiety began to uncoil. Each added stroke felt like a brush against the very heart of what he wanted: connection, creativity, community. A vision began to crystallize before him. Could he bring this joy, this color, into a larger space, one where others might find solace? Suddenly, as if the children sensed his swirling thoughts, they paused mid-painting, turning expectantly toward him. Their wide eyes, filled with innocence and belief, seemed to say, "This is important. Don't let it fade." Jack's heart pounded in his chest, filling him with an urgency he couldn't ignore. He knew that, like paint on a canvas, these moments flickered brightly but wouldn't last forever. If he truly wanted to make a shift, it had to begin here, with them, in this very moment. "What if we make a giant mural outside?" Jack suggested, the idea spilling out like confetti. "One that shows everyone how important our imaginations can be." The children erupted into cheers, filling the air with their electric excitement. "Yes! Yes! Yes!" echoed around the room, and Jack felt like the lightest he had felt in years, a true leader in that playful chaos. But just as joy surged anew, the man shifted uncomfortably at the door, an unexpected tension pulling at the edge of Jack's new resolve. The last thing Jack wanted was to look back into the world of boardrooms and business plans. Yet, there would inevitably be a reckoning, a clash between old expectations and newfound dreams. Maybe this is just the beginning, Jack thought, glancing back at the children who danced around him. Their freedom coursed through his veins, igniting a hopeful spark. But would he have the strength to follow through? Suddenly, he felt the pressure building, not just from outside but inside, tugging at his heart. Could he truly turn this passion into a path? As the laughter and joy surrounded him, he felt an inkling that the real challenge wasn't the opinions of others, but whether he could carve out this space in his life for color, creativity, and connection. And as those thoughts swirled, he knew he had to make a choice. Would he embrace the vibrant chaos of his heart or yield to the predictable path? The question lingered, heavy and unanswered, as he faced the children, the world of potential swirling before his eyes. Jack took a deep breath, the scent of wet paint filling his lungs. The children were still buzzing around him, a whirlwind of paint-soaked delight. He glanced down at the wooden floor, now transformed into a riot of colors. It was a sight to behold, one that stirred something deep inside him, longing to break free. "All right, team," he called out, clapping his hands to gather their attention. "Let us make this mural the best it can be. We'll need all of your creative minds." The kids looked up expectantly, their faces illuminated with excitement. Jack felt a rush of inspiration course through him. They were ready to create something together, something that would last beyond this moment. "First, we need to come up with ideas. What do you want our mural to represent?" Jack asked, sitting cross-legged in the middle of his vibrant chaos. The children ducked in closer, a huddle of innocent ambition that warmed his heart. "A rainbow!" shouted a girl named Mia, her dark curls bouncing as she spoke. "And a big sun!" chimed in Matt, his voice ringing out like a bell in the room. "Ooh! And butterflies! Can we do butterflies?" Lily added with her usual enthusiasm. Jack chuckled, watching as their ideas tumbled over each other. There was something raw and beautiful about their spontaneity that awakened the slumbering desires within him. He wanted to capture it all: the laughter, the colors, the hope. "Okay, let us divide and conquer," he said, his voice steady despite the excitement bubbling up within him. "Lily, you can lead the rainbow section. Mia, can you guide everyone with the sun? And Matt, you'll take charge of the butterflies." They all clapped and nodded, their spirits soaring like kites in a summer breeze. Jack felt his own heart lift at their enthusiasm. This was what he had been missing: a group dynamic, a sense of community, a chance to build something together. As they set to work, he saw them breathe life into their visions with every stroke of the brush. It was a blur of color and motion, where joy collided effortlessly with creativity. Jack felt a pang of realization. He wasn't just teaching these kids, they were teaching him. They were reminding him of parts of himself he'd buried under adulthood. But just as he leaned in closer to help Lily paint the rainbow, a heavy presence loomed again. The man in the suit had stepped further into the room. Jack felt his heart race, a tug of fear at being pulled back into the world he thought he had left behind. "Is this really what you want to do?" the man asked, a hint of skepticism lacing his words. "You're a successful businessman, Jack. Shouldn't you be focusing on, I don't know, making deals?" The laughter of the children momentarily faded, the vibrant colors around him dimming as uncertainty crept in. Jack turned to see the children looking at him, their eyes wide and waiting. They were searching for reassurance, for validation of their vibrant world. Jack felt a clench in his chest. He was at a crossroads. Did he let this man's words pull him back into the shadows of doubt? Or did he stand firm? In that moment, he realized that it was more than a mural, it was a declaration of who he was choosing to be. The joy and laughter surrounding him wouldn't cage him, they would free him. Success isn't measured in boardrooms or spreadsheets, Jack said, his voice clearer now. It's in moments like this, in seeing the spark of creativity and hope in these kids. That's where fulfillment lies. He held their gaze for a moment and saw understanding reflected back at him. That flicker of belief ignited a newfound strength within him. "Let us keep painting," he exclaimed, turning back to the children, their laughter spilling into the air like music. As they returned to their work, Jack felt a surge of determination. This was his true calling, coloring outside the lines of a confined life, embracing the messiness of creativity. But as much as he felt a rush of positivity, he sensed the man still lingering. What did his presence mean for Jack's newfound path? Would he have to confront this reality head-on, or could he continue to nurture this beautiful chaos he found himself in? The questions spiraled around him as he reached for another brush, ready to paint the world anew. Jack stood before the mural, now a kaleidoscope of colors swirling with laughter and creativity. The children filled the room with pure joy, their little hands working tirelessly, creating something extraordinary. As he brushed vibrant hues against the wall, familiar doubts flickered in his mind, but he wouldn't let them hold him back any longer. "Let us make this the biggest rainbow ever," he proclaimed, rallying the kids, their excitement surging into the air. They cheered, a symphony of enthusiasm that washed over him, washing away the remnants of corporate worries. Together, they painted thick streaks of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet, the colors blending and dancing before his eyes, every swipe of the brush reflecting stories yet to be told. But even amidst the joy, Sam's disapproving gaze weighed heavy at the back of the room. Jack could feel her anxiety about his decision. Yet every triumphant cheer from the children pulled him back to the present. They needed him to be fully invested, and that's exactly what he aimed to do. "Jack, what about your meeting?" Sam's voice cut through the laughter. The urgency in her tone held a hint of desperation, as though she worried he'd miss something critical, something life-altering waiting on the other side of the door. It was a tug in the opposite direction, a reminder of the corporate life he'd stepped out of. Jack paused, the paintbrush hovering above the mural. The sun shone warmly through the center's windows, illuminating the colorful canvas. There, before him, stood children who radiated hope and possibility. "Sometimes, where we think our path lies isn't as important as the connections we forge along the way," he replied, his voice steady. "I can't go back to a life where I'm just chasing numbers on a page when I can inspire these kids to chase their dreams." Lily beamed at him, her hands covered in yellow paint, streaks running across her cheeks. "We're all artists, Jack. It's our turn to make the world pretty." Her words hung in the air, reaffirming Jack's resolve. He turned to face Sam, whose eyes were wide with uncertainty. "This is what I want, Sam. To create something that lasts, something made with love and passion, not just profit margins. She opened her mouth, as if to argue, but then she faltered. She seemed to weigh his words carefully. "I just don't want to see you throw everything away," she finally said, her voice softening. "This isn't throwing anything away," Jack replied earnestly. "It's embracing a fuller life. I can't walk away from that." He smiled, and in that moment, the tension slipped away like paint on a brush, revealing the beauty underneath. Seeing the trust in Sam's gaze flicker through uncertainty, Jack realized he needed to extend that same trust to himself. It was a new chapter, one that blended the threads of his past ambitions with a new, vibrant narrative. Around him, the children fizzled with energy. In that space, time felt fluid, each laugh and cheer merging into a symphony of color. Jack's heart expanded in sync with every brush stroke. This was real, this was magic. He turned back to the mural, the colors vibrant and alive, each representing a piece of the stories waiting to unfold. "All of you have dreams," he reminded the kids. "And together, we're making something that shows how powerful creativity can be." "I want to paint a tree," one child shouted, their imagination ignited. "Then let us do it." Jack echoed their enthusiasm, grabbing brushes and showing them how to bring their visions to life. As the mural blossomed beneath their hands, he turned to Sam once more. "You can either stand in the doorway waiting for me to step back to the past or embrace the journey to a brighter future," he encouraged, color smudged across his cheek, reminder of the transformation taking place in them all. Jack could feel a decision solidifying within him, one that blended the old and the new, a reflection of balance. As they stepped back to admire their work, vibrant images danced on the wall: a radiant sun, fluttering butterflies, and a resplendent rainbow. It was a mural of connection, of hope, and of unity that exemplified who Jack had become. She's right, he came to realize. Being a millionaire won't ever equate to the richness of inspiring a generation. With that realization came a comfort, an acceptance. He wouldn't lose the person he had become, even with the responsibilities of his past. Instead, he was ready to carve a path forward that honored both sides of his life, combining success with purpose. Jack dipped his brush into fiery red and bold yellow, adding rays bursting forth from their painted sun. Joy surged through him, a commitment to ensure that these children would never feel despair overshadowing their creativity. But life has a peculiar way of testing resolve. Just as the laughter reached a crescendo, the man who had interrupted earlier reappeared. "Jack, you're being reckless. The board is waiting, and you're about to jeopardize everything." Jack held firm, the vibrant colors glowing like the community they motivated. "I'm choosing a different path. For once, I'm not going to retreat to safety." He felt Sam's presence beside him now, her shoulders relaxing as the children, rallying around him, added their own voices. "No more suits, no more boardrooms," Lily shouted, her eyes sparkling. "We paint for our dreams." The contagious joy filled Jack's heart, a beautiful irony that he finally learned to paint a life worth living. "Exactly." He cheered, and before he realized it, the chant spread through the room. "No more suits. We're artists." Their powerful enthusiasm flooded the space, vibrant as their mural. The visitor stood momentarily speechless, the enormity of their presence washing over him like a wave. Jack pointed back toward the mural. "This is what we fight for." A chance for their voices to be heard. Amidst the colorful noise, the monumental realization dawned on Jack. He would not just create art today, he was shaping a legacy grounded in dreams, friendship, and endless possibilities. As he joined the kids and painted their dreams into reality, the heaviness in his heart lifted entirely. Here, among laughter and splashes of color, Jack discovered the essence of home. "This is my calling," he whispered to the universe, and as the sun poured in, illuminating the vivid creation they made together, he knew he'd finally found what it meant to truly live. He stepped back and admired their handiwork. It was alive, an embodiment of hope, dreams, and the undeniable spirit of community. And in that moment, as the room buzzed with joy, Jack felt whole. As the last brushstroke dried under the watchful eye of the golden sun, he grinned at the mural, knowing that this was just the beginning. The laughter and creativity they had shared would ripple outward, touching countless lives. Jack was no longer just a man with a corporate agenda, he was a part of something greater. Let us keep creating. He shouted, an echo of joy resonating in the room. The world felt vibrant and alive, a masterpiece in progress, and just like that, Jack knew he was exactly where he was meant to be. Remember, this is the time to hit that subscribe button. Don't miss out on more inspiring stories just like this one. Leave a like now to help us grow. We want to hear from you, so comment below with your thoughts on this transformative journey. And share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see that every moment can become art with the right perspective. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Your support means the world to us.